Hi, everybody in podcast land and also on YouTube. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And today on the Carpool Critics Movie Podcast, we are discussing the new Ryan Reynolds movie, Free Guy.
Free Guy! And that's a spoiler alert, big buddy.
What was it? Did you think
that was not just good, that was great.
Is this title an imperative, like, free him? Or is it an adjective?
It's both.
He's a free guy.
Yeah, it's a good title.
It's a weird title.
No, I like it.
No, because you could read it as an imperative. Free guy.
Yeah, but
Damn
it's
it.
also like, hey, look, he's a free guy.
But he's a free guy. But
and
then
he's guy.
Also, I'm
And-
confused about why the thing that's being reused in all these names is free, but we'll get into that.
He's not your guy.
It also communicates the nerdy gamery vibe of the movie.
I
So
guess so.
Yeah, like free life.
it's a very good
That's a
title
really good title.
in that
Free
respect.
life.
Anyways, if you're in our convoy of listeners who, for some reason, watch the movies ahead of time so they can follow along on this amazing podcast, if you're one of those people, next week is going to be a Sarah episode, and we are going to cover my favorite movie of all time.
Is that
Only
true?
one.
Your absolute favorite?
Spoiler alert for your take on it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I think my absolute favorite is probably Blade Runner 2049, but
Pretty good.
I love Kill Bill. And before you ask, yes, Kill Bill 1 and 2, they are one movie, but yes, we are doing them in two parts.
Oh, thank God. For a second there, I had to watch both.
No.
Killabilla.
Killabilla.
But I think most people like part 2 more. Anyways,
Killabill, see what happens.
you'll see. That's going to be awesome. But today we are doing Free Guy all day. So, David, what are you giving this movie out of 10?
Free Guy starts with a really bad idea and a plot that could be generated by an AI, but through sheer power of likable characters, smart execution, and just a little restraint, turns into, surprisingly, a pretty enjoyable movie. 6.6 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was way better than I expected. I thought this was going to be absolute garbage fire from the trailer.
But you got us to watch it.
Garbage fire?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it looked so
man.
bad from the trailer. And then I started seeing reviews, pretty early reviews that were like, this is good. And they were right. This is pretty good.
I really had like a real middle of the road impression. I'm like, this could be a fun movie. It could be a complete disaster. But yeah, so I feel like I kind of came in pretty even tempered. Here's my slogan.
How'd you leave?
You're free to dislike this movie, but you'd be Antoine. And that's a joke that makes stupid pun sense if you've seen the
It
movie.
hurts my face to react to that. Like the expression.
And you remember that the main bad guy's name is Antoine. Sorry, I honestly that was a rushed slogan. I didn't have time for
love
anything
it.
else. I'm giving it 7.75
Wow.
out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yep.
I think like throughout it, there were many times where I'm just kind of like, wait, what? I don't know. But by the end of it, I was laughing. I was smiling.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was a great
And
time.
I felt things too. Surprisingly,
And, yeah.
it has a lot of heart.
Felt a surprising amount of things. James, what about you? You don't feel things normally.
Free Guy is an acceptable, completely skippable action comedy that you should only go to if you're bored and it's free. Is what I would have said if the third act wasn't just so amazing it completely saved the film.
Hey.
But still, 6.9 out of 10.
Yeah,
nice.
See it if you're like a Twitch watching gamer person. Otherwise, still whatever, stay home.
That's very much true. The last act is really turns things around.
Yeah.
Not that it was like so bad until then.
No.
But it was just kind of like, we could be sliding to the finish here.
Like at halfway, I was like, this is fine. I could be at home. Whatever.
Yeah.
But then it just got really, really fun and good.
yeah. And
So-
there's a lot to talk about in the end there. After.
This message from 3 of our sponsors that I'm going to do as fast as I can. Carpool Critics is supported by Manscaped's Performance Package Kit. It comes with a ton of stuff, including the new Lawnmower Waterproof Trimmer, their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, their Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, and their new Shears 2.0 Luxury Nail Kit. Damn, head to manscaped.com/carpool20 today and get 20% off, plus free international shipping today. Plus, you'll get their Shed Travel Bag and a pair of their anti-chafing boxer briefs, available for a limited time.
No chafing allowed.
We're also brought to you by Private Internet Access VPN. PIA helps you hide your true IP address so that you can bypass geo restrictions and censorship. You can connect up to 10 devices at once, and it includes an internet kill switch
Lightsaber.
if your VPN gets disconnected involuntarily. PIA is available for Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and even is a Chrome extension. So check it out at helmg.gg/carpoolcritics.
what was that?
Carpool Critics is supported by Vessi Footwear, famous for making shoes that are light, comfortable, and most importantly, waterproof. They're made from a dual knit. Damn it, I do it every time. They're made from a dual climate knit material. They're easy to pack and they're 100% vegan, bro. I love mine because they're super easy to slip on and off. No laces, baby. And I don't have to worry about what the weather's like outside. I just put them on and I go. So head to vessi.com/carpoolcritics and get $25 off right now.
And here's what they sound like.
I
Very
just
nice.
ordered a pair today. The lavender special edition weekend.
Oh,
They're
nice.
sick.
I also ordered another pair yesterday.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Consumers! All right. All right.
Would you believe that we watched a movie for this? I would. It was good. You want to know what happened?
What happened?
Oh, yeah, the synopsis.
All right, Guy.
Buddy guy.
No.
I gotta say it's confusing. Many times when they call him Guy, I'm just like I hear the South Park Canadian thing.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, Guy.
Not your buddy guy.
Got your friend, buddy.
Guy is a non-player character, or NPC, in the Grand Theft Auto-style video game Free City, blissfully unaware that his world isn't real. But when he finally stands up to a player terrorizing the game, he gets their sunglasses, allowing him to see Free City as a player does. Guy then meets and falls in love with Millie, a player seeking evidence to prove that part of Free City's code was stolen from her. Mistaking Guy for another player, Millie tells him to level up in-game, which he does by helping the citizens of Free City, gaining viral fame in the real world. Meanwhile, Millie's former partner, Walter Keys McKee,
I noticed it.
we'll talk about this, who works for the company running the game, discovers that Guy is becoming sentient thanks to his and Millie's AI system, meaning his boss, Antoine, did steal their code. Guy helps Millie retrieve an in-game video clip proving this, and in the process learns that he's an NPC. But to stop them, Antoine orders a server reboot, destroying the evidence and erasing Guy's memory. However, Millie finds Guy in the rebooted game and kisses him, restoring his backup data. That's how that works. Guy recalls seeing a hidden island off the coast of Free City, the game world for Millie and Key's original game, Free Life. Guy and Millie set off for the island, but to prevent Keys from helping, Antoine fires him and uploads Dude, a bigger, stronger version of Guy into the game. Dude, Guy. I just made that connection.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Guy eventually distracts Dude with the sunglasses and makes it to the island right before Antoine destroys the game's servers, which is seen by gamers across the world. Millie convinces Antoine to give back their code and IP, which she and Keys use to launch Free Life, bringing Guy and the other Free City NPCs to live there. Millie realizes Keys wrote Guy's code as a love letter to her, and they kiss in the middle of the street, except we don't see it because it cuts right before. It's so weird.
I thought that would have been sweet. I thought it was sweet.
I honestly
Probably
was
not
like,
credits though.
I was feeling it. I was like, oh, this is kind of, I mean, it
really?
was super, super cheesy.
I
It was
hated it.
super, super cheesy.
I booed.
But I was feeling it right up until they meet in and then it cuts and I was like, wait, why'd
Wait,
they do that?
you booed the cut?
The
Or you
kiss.
booed the kiss? The whole moment.
I was
You
just
booed
like
the kiss.
Yeah, just have a look. Just have them like
Yeah.
just have her look up from the computer after seeing the video and he's there or something and it's like, huh?
Yeah,
Will they?
it
Will they?
wasn't-
Won't they?
It wasn't necessarily that I was like, I want to see him kiss.
No.
Because normally I would be like, all right, stop with the,
Yeah.
it's a long kiss scene. But you're right. It's either that they should have cut a little bit later when we get to see like a little
Sure.
bit of the kiss, or they just cut before they go across
See,
the
this
street.
is
It's
interesting.
just-
Are we done the synopsis? Can we talk about
That's
this?
it. No, that was all part of the.
See, this is
That all
interesting because
happened.
that decision of when to cut, I think, is part of a broader decision of who is the protagonist.
Yes.
Oh,
Who is the
It's
protagonist?
confusing.
Because at first you're kind of like,
Well, it's
obviously it's Guy, but then the lock-in of this movie, like the moment where you're like, I know what this movie is about.
Yep.
I have the hero, I have the obstacles, I have the stakes. We know what's gonna happen here. Is not until you meet not just Guy, but also Millie and other
Keys.
dude,
Yeah.
Keys, and you have to have all three, and then you're like, okay, I understand like all the pieces now. And then throughout the movie, Guy kind of takes a back seat. He even gets like killed and erased at one point, and you're more following the story of these two humans in Earth One who are like are trying to actually solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
But then it kind of oscillates back and forth, and in the end, I do think that Guy is the protagonist, but because he's there during the plot climax,
Yeah.
and
everyone's watching him.
yeah, but I would say the emotional climax of the film is that kiss,
Yeah.
with these other characters. So if you cut earlier, then you're kind of saying these guys are less important. Guy is the protagonist. We can cut earlier, or they just have a look. They share a look, and that's sufficient.
Yeah.
If they are more on the protagonist end, then we want to see the kiss.
I think that I like what the movie does, where I would say that Guy is the protagonist, but as the movie proceeds, you kind of learn that the real story of this whole story that we're telling is the story of Keys and Millie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that that's kind of slowly revealed, and then the movie actually ends on the conclusion of that narrative, the broader real world narrative, rather than like Guy on his quest to find out what the hell's going on or whatever.
He undergoes the most change, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's still weird because, one of the biggest character arc moments for him is him saying, "I'm a love letter to you."
Yeah.
Like I'm not important.
Well,
I'm
that was
insignificant in your lives.
Yeah, it's interesting because in that moment, I kind of like got a little bit of like he knows he's a robot vibe. Like,
I think though, to me that I read it
Which is
more as
good.
he's stepping out of his programming. His programming is a love letter to her. So in declaring this, he's kind of stepping into free will.
He has awareness.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm aware that this is what I was designed for, but I'm more than that.
right.
And like that's why we can't be together. Like I was so glad they didn't end up together. I thought that was a good scene where he's just like he kind of jokingly is like we can't do this like
Yeah.
in her voice or whatever.
I wonder if there were drafts where they were. I feel like
would've been
there's
so
no way.
bad.
There's no way. We like that other guy. We like Keys.
Yeah.
And then she goes and builds a cyber sex suit, and that's how they can kiss for real. Nice.
I agree
That's
with,
the first thing my mind goes.
I agree with what you were saying though, Riley. I really like the pacing of how they dole out the information. Like at first you don't really know what's going on with this world. You don't understand why Guy is becoming self-aware.
Right.
And you find out that Millie's like looking for something, and then you find out like, oh, this code was stolen from them, and it was kind of the AI was what was special. And you're like, you can start to piece it together, like, oh, their code is part of this.
Yeah,
oh, okay,
It's
yeah.
nice because it's one of those movies where in the first like 20 or 30 minutes, you're starting to see things that piss you off.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? How?
Even-
Why would that?
Yeah.
And then within that hour, you get answers
Yeah.
that
Right.
totally assuage all of those concerns.
I gotta say, I don't like though the initial thing of these things happening, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. As a gamer, I know that this isn't like NPCs don't have
Yeah.
apartments or whatever. But I want to stick on the Keys and Millie thing for a second there, because did you guys feel like that was a compelling love story?
I found some of the things were really cute. Like the early on when it's the interview of them talking about Second Life? What's like their game called? Free
So
Life?
I think I said it
Actual Life?
wrong.
Actual Life.
I think I said it wrong in the synopsis.
Life
Their first
Itself.
game was Life Itself. Yeah.
So they're doing like the interview of life itself, and it's kind of like a flashback, but it's like a clip.
Yeah.
And like you can see that they're like they love each other, or they're like cute together.
Yeah.
And I like that stuff. But then after that, I kind of felt like it was sorta there, but it didn't really, I don't know, invest into it the way that I think I might have cared more for.
Yeah. It seemed kind of contrived because I feel like when if they have a romantic thing going on, more often you see actual husbands and wives or whatever couples making games.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there are a number of examples in the industry of couples making games together, but I just felt it like it was a bit contrived to see, okay, there's two people making this game and they're both single and they both kind of have a crush on each other, but it's awkward and weird and don't want to date or something.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like, oh, we're going to set this up so that they get together by the end of the
With
movie.
both of these complaints, I feel like again, you couldn't solve those problems without changing the movies too much.
That's
Then
fair.
you're in rom-com territory.
Yeah.
Like to David's point, yeah, it would have been better if they had some kind of major conflict where Millie's being selfish and he tries to care for her, but that just pushes her away, and then she doesn't realize that he's there. But then now it's a rom-com about them, and it's not about Guy.
Yeah.
Guy is no longer the protagonist.
It is like a minor complaint. I feel like one thing that might fix that was to have them both working at like a slightly larger company instead of just being partners.
But then it wouldn't feel so, the stakes are so personal where they need to get their code back.
But like maybe they were working at a company and they made the code together.
That's fair.
Anyways, whatever.
Like
it's
wise.
a minor thing.
But let's, I think for me, I think the absolute best decision they made about this movie, what saves it from what I was afraid it was going to be, is that Guy is very sweet. Like I thought it was going to be sarcastic Ryan Reynolds, who was like quipping and doing all this stuff.
Oh,
but for
really?
the first like half hour of the movie, he's like Buddy the Elf sweet. Like he's just like so wholesome. And
which is right in his zone.
Yeah.
He basically, I think that's his whole range. He's he's either like naive puppy dog, which he totally gets in this, or he's just quippy Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's like his whole.
And he gets there a little bit by the end of it, but
Yeah, a little bit. I realized this afterwards. I don't know. Did you guys draw this parallel? Like, it's basically Truman Show, but in a video game.
Yeah, it's basically Matrix.
And like, it was really down
basically
to
Lego movie.
It's basically
no. It's like down to him wearing the same clothes every day, having a catchphrase: "Good afternoon, good evening, and good night." Don't have a good day, have a great day.
I definitely thought of Truman Show.
And
Well, yeah,
like
and,
he has to.
when everyone's watching, definitely
He has to go out past the water to like the edge of the world at the end. I was like, it didn't strike me at all while I was watching it, but then I was driving home from the theater. I was just like, wait a second, that was Truman Show.
Yeah, it even has the thing, like you said, people watching it where it cuts between all the different stakeholders of the film. Like, this guy's watching.
God, there's too many cuts of Ninja. Fuck, one. You get one cut of Ninja.
Gosh, yeah.
It was. I don't hate the cuts to the real life streamers and stuff. I thought that was okay, but they keep fucking going back.
Too many.
And like, especially when it's like that climax when he's running across the bridge and then it cuts to Ninja again, and I'm like, no. Like that totally takes me out of it. Like, it's fine in like the silly, like fun montagey bits.
Yeah.
But when it's the emotion, like it's one of the climaxes, no.
Especially
Such a
because
mistake.
the first time they bring in the streamers, you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. They got the streamers, and you don't really like care that they are, bad at acting, and they're, it really seems like they're delivering pre-made lines. But like, when they bring them back like 3 times, and by the end of it, I'm just like, okay, the illusion is gone.
Yeah.
Now I'm just seeing the streamer looking at the prompter, like, or whatever. Apparently they didn't even. I think because they filmed this before COVID, but I know
they kept filming through. So apparently this movie changed quite a bit because of COVID, which it clearly worked out because it's a pretty decent movie.
I know that at least Jacksepticeye and Dan TDM, is that his name? I don't know. That
Dan
guy.
Munition.
Sure, that guy. I know that they just recorded their parts like at home in their setups.
Yeah.
Like they didn't like go to a set or anything. It was literally just the movie sent them the lines. They record the lines. Thanks.
Well, it's the same with
footage.
though when guys interacting with like real life people, like when he's interacting with Channing Tatum, that was like when the person in real life, like that was shot later. Same with like the girls that are like, where's that motherfucker? Like that's just Shawn Levy's kids, and like they were in the editing room, and Ryan Reynolds was like, I think we need like something here. We need like to cut it out to that. And so they just went to Shawn Levy's house and shot in his daughter's bedroom and just added it.
I love that scene with the girls. He's like, he's just an NPC wasted.
Yeah.
So good.
For my part, I didn't actually mind the streamers being in there because I didn't recognize any of them.
Oh, yeah.
Other than Ninja, I was like, that's Ice, that dyed hair thing.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I mean, that's one of the things this movie does really, really well, which is to kind of like situate it. It's to give itself gamer cred.
Yeah.
So like, hey, we know about these gamers. Or the streamers, the people are using Razer laptops and they have HyperX headsets, and like I feel like even
it wasn't dominated by one brand either. There's some Logitech stuff.
Yeah, so I was impressed by how wide of a net they cast in like making these references to real world gamer culture.
But they didn't do too many. That was my fear. Was that like nonstop inside the game?
No,
be, like,
it wasn't like Ready Player One or something.
Yeah, like exactly. Ready Player One, where everywhere you look, there's like 45 references, and it gets so overbearing.
There were like people killing people saying poggers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's like they'll have a conversation. There's like a character in the back like trying to jump on a wall or something.
Yeah.
Little silly things, and then at the exact right, the teabagging. That was funny because it's just funny. Like, oh yeah. But at the exact right moment, they pull the references out. Like the fucking Avengers reference
was a sweet moment.
10 out of 10 reference.
People clapped in the theater.
Yeah, it was so good. It just like the slow unfurling, the shield, the musical cue, and then the Hulk arm. You're like, okay, yeah.
And it was one thing after another.
Yeah.
It was the Avengers shield, and then it was the lightsaber. Well, the Hulk arm, and then he had brought the lightsaber out, and then he had the Fortnite miner thing, and then he had the gravity gun from Half-Life.
That was sick. And the portal gun,
Well, okay, so that was, I was confused because it's a portal gun, but it doesn't look like the portal gun from... Anyways,
I
whatever.
was a little bit
but
confused.
there was like 4 or 5 references in a row, and I was like,
Disney
damn.
movie?
It is a Disney movie. Okay. It's Fox.
That's when I realized.
This is one of the first movies that started under Fox, and then the acquisition happened and it finished under Disney.
Yeah.
And so they liked it. They've already requisitioned a sequel. That's not the right word, but...
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so there's going to be a sequel, which...
Oh, nice.
Whatever. We'll talk about that after.
I don't know. I was like, how are they going to do a sequel of this? I mean, I guess like maybe we like dive deeper
that
into...
shitty deal they set up at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah, but I think that it's basically... indicated that it's fine because Antoine's like going to jail and Free City like failed.
I guess so.
But
yeah, we'll talk about sequels later.
I think those like references and stuff came together in the late game because I saw that like Shawn Levy was saying that like Ryan Reynolds was really good with convincing Disney to let them use stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So then they might not have had all the Avengers and the Star Wars and all that stuff, but
that would have had to be after the acquisition. Like that couldn't have been written in. But that whole sequence with Dude is fucking funny.
That's what I'm saying with like that's the part of the movie where I was like so into this.
I had like 3 things. Kicking ass.
TBD.
Third thing here.
That was awesome. And did you guys see or notice all the voice cameos throughout? I didn't notice
until I looked at
voice
the IMDb.
cameos.
Yeah.
Dude, John Krasinski's in this. Hugh Jackman's in this.
Yeah, The
Dwayne
Rock.
Johnson's in this.
Who they voice?
They're all just like robbers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was going to mention when you talked about the game references and the game cred that it has, I liked the fact that they made it they pretty much didn't have any bones about the portrayal of gamers.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a dude power fetishes. That's all it is. It's like, I get to have guns and be muscular and have a mohawk and
You're
have a
so
hot chick in a convertible.
Yeah.
I like how they play that joke though, when like when the people are become self-aware because of Guy's influence, and or not Steve, that's his stranger name. Keys gives that speech about like, they're becoming aware. Like she wrote a fucking book about like misogyny and like all these things.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
character.
yeah.
Like I was like,
Yeah.
this is great.
What did he say? It was
that
like
was hilarious.
a little. He criticized
A little
it.
self-preachy, a little preachy.
preachy,
yeah. But overall, it's pretty good.
I was
a searing indictment.
So that was a really.
that's it.
So like there was one part where I was very confused about what the other NPCs were capable of. Like I thought that, and this is something that the movie isn't super great at. I'd say is like, but I mean you could also say that it's part of the slow reveal. But I was very confused about the lore and how this was working. Like, is Guy the only one who really is like becoming self-aware in this way? But then they make it clear later that all of the NPCs are.
Yep.
But I think, like, as we were saying earlier, there are a couple times where I'm just like, okay, I know this is a video game, but I don't know whether the movie is portraying things like this because it doesn't know how video games work, or whether it's portraying it that way because later we'll find out that this is a special case and, you know, there's reasoning behind this. Like, he wakes up in an apartment, he gets dressed. Like, NPCs don't do this in Grand Theft Auto, you know? The NPCs that you see are literally just... They're never going back to their apartments, you know?
Well, in The Witcher, they do. They have like houses and they go and get in and out of their houses.
I guess depending on the game, but like, well, most games you don't have.
I don't think it's that unrealistic that like the most cutting edge amazing game would have like more believable life cycles for the NPCs.
Yeah, and it's a convenience for the movie. You could not make a movie where, let's say, he just pops in. Texture pop in. He just boop, spawns in the bank when a robber goes into it.
I feel like maybe this is just my personality, but like I feel like when it comes to lore and world building and stuff, I'm really one of these stickler people where I'm just like, wait. So if Guy is grabbing the guy's, like the guy comes to strike him with a weapon and he grabs the weapon and then breaks his arm with his knee, like what's the button combination to do that?
Well, doesn't have buttons.
But I guess part of the conceit is that Guy is not a player and he's just like acting. You know, like he there's no button to kiss, but he knows how to kiss.
Well, this is the link to Neo. It's it's like the Matrix, except at the end of the Matrix, spoilers for the Matrix, 1999, guys. when he like runs through Smith and then he flexes and the world around him goes like
right. Yeah.
That's like Act 1 of this movie.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets those sunglasses, he like has all those abilities. Since he's part of the game, he can bend it more than.
But that's why I was confused because he should only have the abilities that a player has. But it's sort of like he has the abilities that a player has and the abilities of like someone who is more inherently in that world.
Yeah, that works for me.
So yeah, it's just like I just have to get over that hump a little bit at a few points in the movie where I was like when he's watching her and he's like in awe at how well she's like fighting when they're trying to get that video clip. She's like blocking things and stuff. I'm like, okay, so in real life, she's probably just like good at the combat system. And we're not seeing it play out one-to-one exactly what she's doing, but the character is like doing an animation that doesn't track. And anyway, this is way too granular.
You're going deep because I love that scene when she's first fighting by herself and he smashes through the window on the motorcycle and like kind of like casually gets off it. Yeah. I got pumped. I got genuinely pumped, and then the fight scene was good. And then that slow-mo of him reacting to her made me laugh.
I really liked how that when. Are you talking about when she kind of gives him the mission to go and level up?
Yeah, and then you kind of cut back. It's after, and it cuts back to her, and she's broken in.
I like that. I like what it does for the story when she gives him the mission to level up. Because prior to that, I'm trying to think of like, you know, when I'm watching a movie, I'm trying to think like, what is this character's like absolute need? What's going to happen here? And the first thing we're given is, I want a girlfriend. I need a love in my life. That's like his stated need. But even prior to that, he implicitly describes these heroes, the sunglasses people. They kick a lot of ass. Like I wish, you know, it wouldn't be cool to be one of them. So, I mean, I thought that where the movie was going to go was like, oh, it turns out that the sunglasses people are, they're not cool. They're not good people. Like because even in that opening montage, he's showing they're assholes. They're coming in, they're stealing people's cars, they're killing people. There's car pileups. You don't want to aspire to be one of those people.
Yeah.
But anyways, he does. And so we know that he wants to be a hero and wants to have a girlfriend. And then so he sees her. We know later on that that's like the catalyst for him to become self-aware. But then when he finally meets her, she gives him the mission, go and level up, basically go and become a hero. So what I like about that narratively is it melds those two needs into one need.
Yep.
For me to get the girl, I must also become hero.
Yeah, that's fair.
I must also become hero.
That was tight.
And it's a fun montage. It's like, I can't remember what you called it, but like in a superhero movie when they're getting their powers, like you're just seeing him come into his powers and level up. Like that, it was fun.
It was fun, but I was also confused about his combat proficiency, and like obviously it shows that he's getting better, but he also does stuff in the very beginning when he's supposed to be bad.
Yeah.
Where like they throw a grenade at him and he catches it. And it's like, whoa, he's a badass, okay. And then he throws it and then knocks off the car. But in that instance, it's more like, okay, he's really good. That was just unlucky.
Yeah.
But then he goes and like he's blocking people's blows. He's like doing kung fu and stuff. It's like, wait, when is he supposed to have learned that?
It's weird because like they show like kind of like the beginning and the end, like before and after of that sequence when he goes and like blocks at people, and it's like slightly better at the end, but it was pretty impressive. At the beginning.
First time it was pretty impressive.
Like, yeah.
So I was just like,
yeah.
But so like the way that I rationalized it once more is that okay, we're seeing this play out a certain way, but like he is kind of working within the game's systems where it's like there's a punch button. So you don't need to learn how to physically throw your fist forward. Maybe there's just kind of like a mechanism that you initiate, and then it's like you punch and it's a hard, good punch.
It's a line of code. Like punch.
Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
really get so hard about this.
But like, I feel like despite my misgivings about all of these like little tiny things that would bother like, pedantic gamers like myself, maybe, the movie does really well at pleasing us as well.
Yeah.
So I was annoyed, and then something else would happen. I'd be like, "That's the Halo tank," and then I felt better. I don't know.
Cool. My one that annoyed me of that kind of thing is when the programmers are chasing Guy up the building.
Yeah.
And they like hit a line of code, and then the building's like reshaping like perfectly for the stairs. I'm like, that wouldn't be a line of code. That'd be hard.
Yeah, that annoyed me actually. I'm like, well, actually, they'd probably just go in spectate mode and just like
Exactly.
float up
That's
there.
what I expected.
But that would look super lame in a movie. So
Can you imagine
it
just
would look
no
super
clip?
weird to like, they're like
exactly.
flipping through walls and stuff. Yeah.
I didn't think it was that funny that the one cop
Was a bunny?
was a bunny. The
No, I
bunny
don't
suit
think-
didn't
I
get
don't-
the laughs from me.
I
No,
feel
me neither.
bad. I didn't like that guy at all. Like he was lame.
I
I
liked his
like
one
the
line-
character and the actor. Like
He was
I like
fine.
in the real world when he's like, "That sounds boring and full of white privilege." Like that joke got
was
a laugh.
funny.
That got a laugh at my theater.
Yeah, but I think I was disappointed then because it's like, okay, they're making the white privilege joke, but then the guy like, I felt a little weird because the main characters in this are all white.
Mm-hmm.
There is some representation. His friend is brown, Indian or
that's
whatever.
tokenism.
What? Yeah,
That's tokenism.
yeah, it's tokenism.
One
And,
buddy is black, but he's like the token token black.
Buddy is black. Taika
best friend,
Waititi
yeah.
is New Zealand
Indigenous,
Kiwi.
yeah.
Yeah, indigenous.
Yeah, he's
Kiwi.
white passing.
Yeah, but they're all the kind of like secondary guys are the bad guys, and the main guys are all white. We're gonna get criticized for being woke
it's a
here,
meta
but-
commentary. That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's my
maybe.
defense.
Yeah,
The
sure.
sequel's just
Ah.
going to be the same movie, but from the
Yeah.
other perspective, and you're going to realize that like Millie and Keys are actually garbage
Yeah.
people.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't even have thought about it at all if they didn't have the white privilege line. But then that got me thinking. I'm like, hey, that's a little hypocritical. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't give the friend too much to do, and it's nice. I like when people you think are going to be bad in the end have a turn for the good. Like it's
Yeah.
nice that he's working with them.
It's true.
And I enjoy that. And he's like, "Oh, get together, you two." Oh.
Yeah, because I feel like if he knew that they stole his friend's code or whatever
Yeah.
from the get-go, then he would have been fine. But he was just trying to, do his job.
Yep.
He didn't know that guy was sentient.
He didn't know.
He didn't know. But yeah, the bunny suit was like, I do like it was part of these references to kind of gamer culture. It made me feel at home.
I
I'm
like-
like, they know what skins are.
I like the Key skin, like the sleazy cop with the mustache. That got a laugh.
You know what it was? It was a letdown because the other guy was like, I'm going full body mustache. I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
wait to see what this is. And
I
it's
know.
just a bunny.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be
okay.
like the Borat bikini, like the mankini, something like that, like
Oh.
intense.
That would be funny. That'd be way funnier than a bunny.
But the bunny does feel very Fortnite.
It does.
Yeah.
Grant that Free City was kind of like a mix of GTA and Fortnite.
I
and
saw
then like
that, but like
arcadey stuff
I
with
don't-
all of these crazy.
I didn't get the Fortnite vibe. To me, it's just GTA Online
Oh yeah.
with
Well,
maybe
no,
a bit of because apparently
the
they
power
were.
ups.
Oh yeah, that's fair because
Yeah.
they were aiming for SimCity and Red Dead Redemption 2. That's what they were aiming for.
What?
And I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is basically GTA Online, but more grounded and real. So I think that's probably what they were like. We want it to feel real, not just like arcadey. But then it also feels real.
felt very
super
arcadey.
arcadey. You're like flying through the city in jets, blowing up. I don't know.
Yeah, I have to say I hated the intro so much. I thought the movie was ruined as soon as the Ryan Reynolds voiceover and is happening and Channing Tatum skydiving. I was like, but then the actual action sequence was pretty sick.
What didn't you like about that?
I don't know. It was like one of those like, hi, I'm Guy. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like
In
maybe
6
it was
But then
going to go there.
the
be
actual
dead.
action sequence that was mostly one take was actually like pretty cool. And I was like, okay, maybe there's like a creative spark behind this thing. And that's how I feel about the whole thing. It's like, it's a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
Really like easy to follow plot. But like they really put the effort in and to like push it just enough that it's like, this is good.
A perfect example of that is when they keep doing this like praise of the killer thing, you know, when they talk about the bad guy ahead of time to kind of get you psyched up. They're like, oh, Antoine's coming. Antoine this, Antoine. I'm like, okay, let's all get excited for Antoine. There's just a big build up here. And then it's Taika Waititi and I was amazed.
So
Okay.
good.
What did you guys think about Taika Waititi?
I loved him.
It took me one session of jokes to like warm up to him. The first one I was like, oh, it's a little cringe.
Yep.
But
then
that's his character.
for sure.
Everybody hates him.
I have to say the way they spell Antoine is perfect. It's so
A-N-T-W-A-N.
obnoxious. Yeah, it's so obnoxious.
Yeah. I feel like I was the same where the first scene it was like rough and then I was like
love Taika Waititi.
yeah,
He's like
I love
my
him.
favorite
No,
human being.
I love Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
I think that this was just a bad casting decision because while he does a decent job at the character, like he's got the inflection, the tone right, and all that stuff. I just like you can tell that this isn't who he is, and I didn't believe that this dude I'm watching on screen is this douchebag.
When he goes more evil, I believed it. Like when he was smashing the servers, like and he's like kind of more quiet and he faces Millie, like that scene when he's like really got his darkness front and center.
Yeah.
I felt that a little bit more and I'm like, oh, there's like the realness.
I don't know. I think that Taika Waititi does really, really, really well when he's doing sort of like roles that can disguise what he's doing. Like he played Hitler in Jojo Rabbit, and he does a great job because it's supposed to be this like cartoony dream version of Hitler.
Like what a
right?
child.
You're not supposed to be
thinks.
looking at him being like, "That's Hitler." He's a child's conception of Hitler. He's done a lot of voice work where his voice is hilarious, and he's like really great with like line delivery. And obviously, he's a good writer. But I feel like in this one, I could see all these little things on his face. His eyes would kind of like move to the side where he was like thinking about how to perform. And maybe this is like, okay, maybe this is me as an actor thinking about these things. But like, I just thought that it was a weird casting decision. But if most people think it's totally fine, then
I thought it was a great cast.
cool.
I think
And
it was
I
a
don't
great
know him
cast.
personally like you do, so I don't have all that baggage.
I think it was a good cast too, and I think like Taika Waititi is just one of those people that I get excited to see in a movie, and so even though it took me a little bit to warm up to what his level of energy or whatever was,
he has so much
got
charisma.
there.
I love when he like sat down and started meditating on the floor. That was hilarious.
Yep.
he was despicable. I loved it.
But you know who stood out to me as one of the secondary characters was
Chris
Buddy.
Evans. Oh.
But Chris Evans.
that was a great little joke.
Yeah. What the shit?
Yeah.
But yeah, Buddy, Guy's friend. I feel like I really, really felt that they were friends.
Yeah.
And I think I felt the chemistry,
Yep.
especially. I wrote down one of their funny lines. It's like, beers on the beach after work? Of course we're going for beers after work. Ooh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy is lovable. His name is Lil Rel Howery.
Yeah,
He's the dude from Get Out.
Yep. Yeah,
He's
he's
so
his
good.
friend in Get Out. He's been in a few things.
He's kind of a Kevin Hart ripoff in this movie.
Oh, he's way better than Kevin
In this
Hart.
movie, he had some Kevin Hart vibes.
He's like a nerdy Kevin Hart,
Yeah.
sort of.
He's
I guess.
very lovable.
But I like that his journey that he goes on when he refuses to take the glasses, but
Yeah.
then by the end, like he has some of the best lines. Like he's like, I don't care if this isn't real. Like I'm here with my best friend,
Yeah.
like helping him through something. Like that's more real than anything.
But like that's what you were talking about when you were saying that it made you feel things. you
totally,
didn't
I
expect
felt it. I was like, oh damn, that's fucking.
Yeah,
real.
that was powerful to hear from them because you obviously think of our own, like we don't have free will, right? So it's just like,
Right, obviously.
who cares? Like,
Yeah.
whenever I have no interest in clicking on those damn articles about like Elon Musk says we're in a fucking simulations because it doesn't matter. The outcome is the
stupid.
same.
Yeah.
That may be true or mathematically likely, but the outcome is the same. I still have to come to work today.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like
This
that-
job-
Unless I can break the simulation by being aware of it, then I don't want to fucking know.
Exactly. Unless I'm
Well-
Free Guy or Neo.
Yeah.
Well, if you can break the simulation by knowing about it, but then you're powerless to do anything about it, yeah.
Well, then you're not breaking the simulation.
Unless you can meet God and kiss her after ice cream, like in this movie.
You've met God? That's what he says that.
See, that was actually
Yeah.
weird because I thought that was going to get turned around and because he was speaking to God because she was the one who made the algorithm.
But they didn't know that at that point.
But later on it's revealed that his specific
Guy
pathology,
specifically.
Guy was written by Keyes.
Yeah.
And the reason that she's the catalyst for him to become self-aware is because Keyes wrote all these. He's a guy who's in love, and he's in love with Millie.
Well, yeah, Keyes basically made Guy as like a sort of representation of him and his love for Millie.
So he's kind of God, which is weird because I guess it's both.
Well,
because
there's two gods.
Yeah, well, because prior to that, you're like, okay, she made the algorithm, so she's God. Plus, he has her likes, like the
bubble
swings
gum.
and the ice cream,
Mariah
bubble-
Carey, fantasy.
and all that. But then that was just put in by other God. So I don't know who's
Guys
Well,
are
the
thinking
you
too
know,
hard.
I feel like they addressed this by
trying to
talking about
find the
programming.
allegories, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be depends on your theology, but I feel like going back to Buddy, I feel like that theme of finding out that reality isn't what it seems, or like, what if we're not real? That question. It's a real question that everyone that you referenced this like simulation and hypothesis, like what if our brains in a vat and stuff. And I didn't expect that kind of question to be sort of it's not like really dived into,
Touched upon,
but
yeah.
it's touched upon in this, and I feel like it leads to this really tender emotional moment, and I didn't expect that, and so it was like extra powerful because of that.
Yeah.
And then again, I thought there was another example.
Well, there may be. Speaking of touched upon, I wondered if you guys felt this was intentional or what, but there's that scene of the real life Earth One security guards
Oh,
being
yeah.
like, that security guard's awesome.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
when he dusts away, right? He's like on the
Yes.
bridge, and then I think that's another really good moment where I felt it a lot too.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. When they're on the bridge and then they get separated because Anton is smashing everything and whatever. It doesn't matter that it's not how that would work when you break servers, but then they get separated and they have their moment together. And he's like, I can't remember what he says. What do you have it written down?
No, I don't.
okay.
I don't remember what he
But they
says.
have that exchange.
but he's like, even if I'm not real, our friendship was, or something like
yeah,
that.
and he's like, this is the best day of my entire life.
Yeah, and
I felt it.
I
You
wrote
guys
what
love buddy stuff.
I love
Oh,
Buddy.
I really do. But what I wrote down was they managed to have an emotionally affecting moment that was also really funny because you're like, I'm not crying, but I was like, it's that emotion. I'm sad that he's dying, and it's like they've done the work to make me care about him, and then he dies, and then it immediately cuts to the security guards who was like, that security guard was
Yeah,
a mother effing
yeah.
hero, and I immediately laughed, but it was like laugh crying.
Yep.
It was great. I
Well,
was
that's
like,
not exactly what I'm talking about.
what are you talking? What?
Well, because when they're in the server smashing room, there's a part where Taika Waititi is like, security! And then the person who's getting hauled away is like, he could call you by your name, you know? He says that to the security guard. He's basically calling the security guard an NPC. You're a background character in this movie.
Wait, who says that?
I think it's the boss, the manager guy.
No, who says he
Mouser?
could call you by your name?
The
Mouser?
manager guy. Yeah, Mouser.
Yeah.
Mouser says that?
I think it's Mouser.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah,
but he
yeah,
says
but
it to the
says it.
security guard. He
Yeah.
says to the security
I feel
guard, he
like-
could call you by your name, you know? And then very
Interesting.
shortly after is that scene you're talking about where the real life security guards are looking at the virtual security guard being like, that's a security guard.
Yeah.
I feel like there
Huh.
were a number of kind of like quick lines and background things that I didn't quite catch. This is not a movie that I would normally want to rewatch, but I feel like I do when it comes on streaming, just because I
Yeah.
know that there were so many things like that I didn't catch, and the things in the background, like there was one shot where it's one of the wider shots of like the central plaza in the city, and a car drives through going some direction, and there's another car on top of it upside down. And I was just like,
see that.
it's just like a completely unnecessary detail,
Yeah.
but I managed to catch it. And I'm like, how many other things are there in this movie like that, where it's just like something's happening in the
Oh, I'm
background?
sure.
I didn't
yeah,
catch it.
Tons.
So I kind of want to rewatch it.
There are some people, I think the VFX company is called Scanline.
Oh.
There were some people watching the credits behind me, and they were looking for their names because they worked They worked on this
Oh,
movie.
that's cool.
Yeah, Scanline VFX. So I wonder if they had creative freedom to like, put in whatever they wanted, or
Maybe they got some extra time or something because of COVID. I don't know. I don't know if that how many re-edits there were, but yeah. What did you guys think of the Channing Tatum stuff?
amazing.
I got real laughs from me.
That guy's always good.
He's funny.
Yeah.
I like how willing he is to make fun of himself.
Oh man.
Like, do you guys ever see, what is it?
This is the end.
This is the end when he's in like the GIMP suit.
Yeah, that disturbed me greatly. And then I saw the glimpses of that in this movie where what does he do? He's like, his mouth and tongue are wide open and out. He's like, ah.
Yeah.
He's like, it's hilarious, man.
I like when he's freaking out at his mom, who's voiced by Tina Fey. I don't know why or how they did that, but
Wait, what movie are we talking about here?
this movie,
Whose mom is voiced by dude?
the gamer that is represented by him, or that controls him.
Voiced by Tina Fey, but we see her in the background.
Did we? That's her.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, according to IMDb, I didn't notice.
That guy was great.
Yeah.
Like, Mom, don't touch that. Oh no, well that's Channing Tatum.
Yeah, don't touch the
Don't touch that sock. Don't touch that. If you touch that sock, you'll be scarred for life. Mom, no. And then
Strong.
they had so many like quick little banter moments in that scene. Ryan Reynolds is like, haha, no, I'm a good guy. And Channing Tatum's like, what'd you say? And he moves close and he puts his hand on his hips. It's just like, it was just so weird. I was like, what is he doing? It was just, I loved it.
That must have been improv-y because it's a bizarre scene.
Well, that was shot way later too. Like that wasn't part of the original script. Like Channing Tatum, according to the article I read, the Shawn Levy was just like, Ryan Reynolds came up with all these ideas in the edit and we made it happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, and Channing Tatum was a great guy to play the guy who the player that's doing all of the stupid Fortnite dances, because he's like, he executes them flawlessly. Like he's doing the floss and he's doing it with gusto. Although having the floss is like the main emote kind of ages the movie. It's like
a little bit.
Although we know that happened a while ago.
Even like the little thing where like when Millie finally plays the video clip and can see the like island in the background, but it's him on like a flagpole and he's like doing the dance on the flagpole, but he's like almost, it's nothing, but you can tell it actually was Channing Tatum. I thought that was funny. I think that was actually really clever how they find where the island is, where it like was saved in the reflection, like the cube map, but not the like world.
Epic
like,
gamer moment.
Yeah, I was like, that's like an actual gamer thing. Like because like the island is there, but they've hidden it, but it exists in the cube map.
That
so
was
they can
cool.
see it. I was like, that's clever.
Because there are actual like, have you seen that YouTube channel? There's some YouTube channel or somebody that does videos entirely on things that are hidden in game files.
Yep.
So like they no clip out or whatever, and they find all of the stuff that the developers have like left there, because they'll be developing a game and they'll put something somewhere in the game world while they're working on something else, and they just like forget about it or leave it there intentionally. And
well, that's the whole thing in Breath of the Wild, is finding all the hidden chests that like shouldn't exist,
right.
And they're just like in the floor.
They're just like
you have to glitch to get them.
The main map somewhere.
It's cool. It's cool that the movie knew to do that.
Yeah,
because I don't feel like it's like the gameriest movie, which is good. I didn't want it to be super gamery,
right?
But they do just enough to be
it was both accessible and had enough homage.
Yep.
Boundary break. Yeah. Jesse just messaged me because he can hear us somehow. I don't know where he is. But it's called Boundary Break.
Nice.
Check it out.
There was a few moments in this movie where I felt that I was ahead of the characters.
Mm.
You know, I'm like, okay, guys, I already knew that. Like, welcome to the conversation. But I wonder if that's intentional and if it's desirable.
Maybe.
I once heard someone say that, was it trailers specifically? But like, you get a good feeling for being right.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, I knew that she wasn't going to die there, or I knew that she was going to kill that guy, or I knew this was happening, that this was going to be the twist, and like, oh, I'm smarter than this movie, but that's on the surface you think that's a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing.
Makes you feel good.
What do you guys think?
I think it's probably a bit of both. I think there was some stuff that I found frustrating but it wasn't like the movie was like guiding me there. It was more just like, these characters should know this. Like, why is nobody concerned about Guy going off the rails? Like, it felt like nobody really cared enough about that. And I felt like as an audience member, I was like, someone needs to be like really researching what's going on here, but no one seems to.
Right.
But in terms of like plot elements where I'm getting ahead of them, I think it worked for me, where I felt like I was like, I could figure stuff out and then very quickly it would pay off. And I felt that satisfaction. So it was working.
What do you think about that concept in general outside of this movie? That
like it's satisfying to me.
Because on the other hand, you've got like Tenet or something, or like a spy movie where you're just like trying to keep up. The characters
Yeah.
are way
You
ahead
need,
of you.
I think you need both. I think
it's a
like
balance.
if it's all
Both in one
predictable-
movie, or
yeah, you need both in one
both
movie.
in the corpus of movies.
Well, both, and I think like every
Oh,
movie's
both.
it's all a spectrum. So
Yeah.
it's like your movie will fall on that spectrum, maybe too far to one side, to the other. But I think you need to have like surprises for your audiences, but you also need to have them be able to like comprehend what they're watching and like feel the right emotion and like have their brain be leading them down the path, so that when you hit the emotional beats, they feel it.
Christopher Nolan, and they hear it too.
I feel like it's super important to give the viewers that a sense that things make sense. So like that's kind of part of it, where it's like, okay, if they can predict where things are going perfectly, that means that everything that you did is predictable and it makes sense or whatever. So the optimal mix, I'd say, is to introduce a subversion of things, of like well-trodden plot elements, but at the same time, maybe you want to like mostly follow a path, but then subvert something that is like slightly different.
Throw in the dude.
Because I think that you will have a feeling when you're watching a movie and you think that one thing is going to happen and something completely different happens. Maybe it can work if it makes sense, but I feel like a lot of the time people just do that just to subvert expectations.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Last Jedi, and
No, we're not.
I'm not bringing it up. You can agree or disagree, but I feel like the best thing is to kind of have some sort of mix there where you're like, okay, I'm going to take this formula. And I feel like this movie does it really well where, although one thing I mentioned is that there seem to be like multiple all is lost moments, and it kind of felt weird. I thought I had 3 examples, but I only wrote down 2. So like when Guy discovers he's an NPC, Millie tells him he's an NPC, and he's like, wait, what do you mean? I'm not real, blah, blah, blah. And he has like all is lost moment where he goes away and he's sad, and then he meets with Buddy and he's like, what if we're all not real? Does that matter? And then they have that cool thing. And then
So that would be all is lost, and then another one that would come during the final push.
Well, then he gets erased.
Yeah, so that's the second one where he loses his memory, and then we're like, because I actually didn't expect that at all. I was like, oh, they're going to stop it right before it happens or whatever. But like, no, he does lose his memory. But then almost immediately he gets it back.
I hated that.
Yeah,
That was maybe one of my
weird.
least favorite moments is like the magic kiss that restores his memory. Like the visual was cool of having like his like possibilities expanded or whatever.
Yeah.
But it felt so cheap. It felt like so...
That was easy.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
And like they could have done something more clever. And I think it should have been self-earned. Like he should have had to like have like a breakthrough that unlocked it or something. But yeah, just a kiss was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it works
Well, the
towards
kiss
maybe
was-
selling the romance plot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It
I
just
thought
felt...
the kiss made sense. Like,
Yeah.
because they had the kiss earlier, and so then it was kind of like a setup and a payoff thing. And it made sense to me that, you know, he has a like sort of a bodily experience, I guess, in this game. So then when he has this like sensation, he's like,
But
whoa,
how-
and it like
But
brings,
how did she kiss him? There is no kiss button.
I guess that's just part
See,
of the
that's
magic.
I
Oh.
think like that's what I think maybe would have been better if it was like he had enough of a breakthrough that he realized that he had to kiss her and like surprised her with that.
Yeah.
Like maybe that could have been a cool moment.
Yeah, maybe.
But she has no kiss button.
It's either a
somehow.
plot hole or it's like a magical thing we're just supposed to accept.
Yeah, she just loves him so much that they created it.
But to your earlier question as to how many all is lost moments are there?
Yeah, I thought there was another one, but maybe
I
I'm
haven't
wrong.
plotted this movie out, but the ones that are typical are there's the midpoint, which is usually a raising of the stakes, and that could have been when he finds out that he's AI. It's usually there's like a no turning back kind of thing happens there.
Right.
Then there's the all is lost, we're fucked, and then there's usually they gather the team, they do a final push, and during that final push, there's the high tower surprise. You get to the boss's lair, and oh shit, that's probably
That's
the dude.
Yeah. I felt like the overall one of my negative things about the movie is that it did feel quite chaotic, and I feel like maybe that's one of the things that contributed to this feeling I had of like, wait, what do the NPCs do, and how do they do this? How does this work? Was the fact that everything kind of seemed jumbled. It didn't really feel like there was a smooth kind of grade to go up to the rising action, you know.
Well, I feel like this movie was too long as well. Like it could have been. I feel like
could have been a bit shorter.
yeah, because I agree with you. It feels a little scattered.
Not
you
a
know, getting
ton.
in
It's a
there.
bit of a
like 10 or
complex-
15 minutes shorter.
It's a bit of a
Yeah,
complex plot though, because at first like we said at the beginning, we start with Guy and we think that that's the journey of like discovering a guy in a video game, but really we discover that there's a meta narrative of Keys and Millie and that whole thing. So I don't know.
I'm not sure on like what specifically
hard
cuts,
to-
so it'd be hard.
Hard to cut it
And
down.
then maybe they did too. 'cause-
Did you guys think the movie was funny?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud.
I laughed multiple times.
Did you think Ryan Reynolds was funny?
I did.
Yes.
He's not the funniest part of the movie, but he's funny.
And he's also very Ryan Reynolds-y.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds-y in this movie with his verbal like imagery.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, I like saying that word cappuccino. It's like waterfall words coming out of my mouth.
You
Like,
could kind of tell
a
that
lot of
there
his
was
jokes
some-
had to do with the mouth, actually.
Oh yeah, he's like, it's like Jesus scrubbed my tongue.
Wait, okay.
I don't get
I didn't
that.
get that. I wrote it down because I was going to
I
ask you
laughed
guys.
because I was uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't.
So like
get
I think
it.
it's so hot. It's so hot. It's like Jesus right before he finished, he told my dad he's good enough.
it's like
And then he walks away and I was like
When he said he finished, he didn't mean like
scrubbing.
ejaculated.
Yeah, finish scrubbing his tongue. There's a scrubbing his tongue element that you're missing.
Oh, was he scrubbing the tongue?
I think and he almost finished.
I'm glad to hear you guys were confused though as well because I was like, I wrote it
I had to
down because
look
I
it up.
wanted to know what the hell he was talking
Yeah,
about.
but even like the little
Told my
stuff.
father he was good enough.
Yeah.
I lost it at that. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Wait, but what's the joke? I don't get it.
Oh, just like trauma and pain and family.
Well, I get that there was some
You know?
sort of element of. Anyways, we'll move. Let's move on.
I like the joke when like the first robber he kills and that was like, yo, you killed him. He's like, no, he's sleeping.
What? Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's
So he's just sleeping.
lots of little jokes, and
Yeah.
I feel like the movie is fairly dense with trying the jokes, and they usually landed. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't that many. I was like, oh, I
Officer
didn't
Johnny!
cringe. Yeah.
That
guy.
was that improv
I don't know.
Maybe
because he's
Although-
lying there.
No, I don't think it was
His
improv.
hand comes up. To me, it seemed like one of the jokes that it was improv at first, and they loved it. So then they went with it and did an additional take, and that's when because
Could
if
be,
you just
could
did
be.
it the first time, Officer Johnny, and the cop would have just broken character and laughed. Probably.
Yeah.
I love it. He just smashed by these two cards, and the amount of time you wait for the line is perfect.
That was very Jim Carrey. There's a couple moments in this movie where I thought Ryan Reynolds, he must be influenced by Jim Carrey.
I'm sure.
Oh, sure.
I mean, who wouldn't
isn't?
be?
Yeah.
A person
Which-
his age who's
Which
into
comedic
comedy.
actor isn't? Yeah, these days.
Yeah.
The points that I really laughed was like Buddy being like coming up against Dude in the end.
Yep.
When he's like, oh, his hands. How do his punches hurt so bad, but his hands are so soft?
That was amazing. And then Buddy's just groping his chest.
Oh yeah.
But Dude like lifts him up and he's like, oh, he's lifting me like a feather.
Yeah.
He's like I'm a feather.
Dude is a skin in Fortnite now.
Yeah.
How did they do that? Was that just a deep fake, or like they just comped his face
Just
on there?
comped his
But
face.
they did a pretty good job.
There was a couple times I was like, but because the same with the CG. I don't think the CG is particularly good, but because it's a video game world, my brain's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it was definitely good enough. I
Yep.
mean, it's hard because the really big budget movies, like the Avengers movies, they get it so good that it's almost indistinguishable at this point for some things, like their time machine costumes,
Yep.
which were just total CG costumes you didn't even know. They're so good that when you see CG like in this movie, which is still very good, because it's not as good, you're like, oh, it's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing where it's like the CG does not look photorealistic, but I forgave it. And the deep
It's
fake
story-wise.
the deep fake on Dude, it looks rough sometimes.
But it's still funny because it's rough. Like
yeah,
and
just
because
the character is
it
rough.
adds-
the dental prosthetic and
Right.
shit. Like yeah, you're right. It's rough and it's supposed to be like unfinished. So like,
Yeah.
it all works.
It adds to it almost.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, I fucking laughed.
Okay, I only have one other question. The sunglasses.
Yes.
What the hell? At the beginning of the movie, it's presented like if any one of these NPCs just put sunglasses on, they become super.
Like a player.
And
yeah.
they're outside of the game. But then over time, it's never said, but we kind of start to understand that they're meaningless, really.
I think it just gives you the visual to see it. So like once you're aware, like you know that it's going on, but
Sort of
to
like
learn about it, you need the
What's
glasses.
it called? They Live? The one with the
Yep.
sun where he sees the aliens through the sunglasses?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
like that stuff is always there, and they could equip a weapon
And-
if they wanted to,
yeah.
but they just can't because they don't know how.
No, but he couldn't walk across to the multiplayer lounge without them. He got hit by the train. But with the glasses, he can actually go in that lounge, right?
I'm not sure, but maybe.
I think it's more that you
but-
just wouldn't see it without them, so then you.
But he actually tried. Didn't he try to walk over there and get hit by the train?
No, I think that was just because he didn't know the
timing.
train was coming.
I thought the train just manifested and killed you every time.
Oh no.
There was like a
I don't think
barrier.
so.
Well, because they showed with the glasses, they showed the like little cute one, the like manual.
Yeah,
train.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I feel like a big plot hole is who's streaming the whole thing at the end.
It's Steve Keys.
Yeah, but how? With what?
He hacks the server.
He just has like a spectator bot on Guy.
They tried to earn that. Like
I
he had
think,
his laptop.
Yeah,
there.
it's one of those things where like realistically it's not possible, but like they show it in the movie of him like, haha, hacked, show the world.
It just felt weird because what's her name? Millie was streaming it, and then she got booted from the game, and they're like, the world is watching, but now she's gone. So I'm like, wait, how is the world watching? And then later, Keys starts streaming it. I was confused. Also, we didn't talk about the fact that he's named Keys and he wears Clubmaster horn-rimmed sunglasses, like I did. I was so, and honestly, guys, I had like a moment where I was like, what? That came up, and they're like, hey, Keys, and he's Joe Keery, which like he kind of looks like me archetypically.
Well, he looks more like my friend Damien.
Sure, but he's got this like big brown hair like me. He's got the glasses, and they're like, "Hey, Keys." I was like, "What?"
That's weird. Have
Did
you
they
seen?
steal?
Did
they watch Netlink Daily?
Yeah.
Do you watch Ozarks? Remember Wyatt and Ozarks? I kept thinking it was him, but this guy's like a handsomer version.
Well, yeah.
Joe Keery?
Yeah. He's just Steve.
He's Steve in Stranger Things.
But he has crazier hair than that.
Yeah.
Right, because this director directed 8 episodes of Stranger Things.
Shawn Levy. And a bunch of like rom-coms early on.
Yeah, Shawn Levy.
Yeah.
Directed this. A bit strange because it seems like he's done a lot of like producing, executive producing.
Night at the Museum.
Yeah, he
Big Back Greek
directed
Wedding.
that, right? He's directed the movies that he's directed are like schlocky Disney family friendly stuff. And I guess I wouldn't expect him to make this movie so well.
Well, I think that like a lot of credit should go to Ryan Reynolds, and I think Shawn Levy said that too, where like Ryan Reynolds said this is the movie he most got into since Deadpool 1.
Right.
And he was really invested. And like I think that comes through. And he's a producer on this, and I think he did have a big hand on like this creative energy that everyone brought and kind of focusing it.
Man.
And so I think that Shawn Levy obviously did a good job, but I think that Ryan Reynolds also was a huge contributing factor.
Ryan Reynolds really, like, it seems like he single-handedly revitalized his own career by like selling and pitching these ideas and making like he's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
And he buys these companies. He bought like Mint, are they called? No, did
he buy Mint?
He bought some like cell phone provider thing, and he does commercials for them as himself, Ryan Reynolds,
and Aviation Gin.
It's like he's a marketing producer genius guy.
Doesn't he have like a vegan thing with his wife?
Maybe.
Sure.
Ryan Reynolds, if you're listening to this podcast, we'll gladly have you on. We know you live in Vancouver.
He should go on. He's just down the road.
I'll try and get him. That's pretty much all I have to say about this movie.
Ryan Reynolds, you kind of have a porn star name.
It does.
A little bit.
Yeah, but that's okay. We forgive him.
If we combined Riley Reynolds, that is a porn star name.
That is.
Yeah, well, it's pretty close. You're halfway there.
I don't watch porn. I don't know.
Very quickly.
You guys are gross.
Is there a possibility that the sequel would be good, or is it one of those like, don't make a sequel?
I don't think they should. And what the hell's it going to be?
Yeah. And maybe they could come up with a really cool concept of like self-awareness. I don't know,
so
but
that was the one thing.
Be.
That was the one thing that like I know that the gamers in the audience were asking was like, okay, wait. They kind of gloss over the fact that he's the first artificially intelligent being, and he happens to be an NPC in a video game, and it's like, okay, that's kind of wild, but let's keep moving because they're gonna die or whatever. And I think I would have liked to see a little bit of exploration on like, wait, what does that mean? We created artificial life for the first time, so like maybe they get into that and like, do they have rights and blah blah blah? You know,
there's places it could go, but it'll cease to be the same.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
it's one of those movies that
way.
There was a lot of possibility of it going wrong, and I think they didn't get lucky. They earned the fact that this is a decent movie, but I think like their luck will run out if they do a second one. It's like Kingsman 1, it's like it looked a certain way, and it's like, oh, this is better than I thought, and then they do a second one, and it's like,
they had the trailer for The Kingsman on.
That one looks okay.
You're gonna make me do it, I know it.
Well, yeah, of course.
I don't want to see it.
Do you guys even watch the OGs?
True, but what we are watching.
I saw the first one.
Yeah.
Next week we are watching Kill Bill, Volume 1 with Sarah.
Are we gonna kill him or not?
We don't even know what he looks like in that movie.
He's
only a voice.
You just got to go to his closet and see him.
Tweet at us at Carpool Critics. Email us hello@carpoolcritics.ca.
I really need to go to the bathroom, James.
Just go.
Have a
I love you. Bye.